Hello everyone and welcome to another video review from 3dgameman.com. I'm Rodney Reynolds and today I'm having a look at the BitFenix Pandora ATX case. Now this is a pretty awesome looking case that's fairly substantial, meaning you can fit a lot of gear on the inside. Plenty of fans, radiator support up to 360 millimeters, plenty of places to install drives. You can install long video cards, long power supplies, and the feature list just goes on and on. So let's have a look. The box is plain but informative. It has pictures of the product plus features and specifications about it. And it's packaged really well. Oh, and they have protective plastic here on the shiny front as well as the window. Now this is a great looking case, which is awesome considering all the boring cases that are on the market these days. This one is definitely not boring with all of its curved edges. It does have a glossy front. Now that looks good, but it will attract dust and fingerprints really easily. At the front as well, you can do this custom logo. They actually have a color display. That is extremely unique. Now also, you have no option here to install a 5¼ inch drive. There are no 5¼ inch drive bays. That might be an issue for some, but others would probably opt for not having it because it means that you can fit more stuff on the inside of the case. Like for example, you can fit up to a 360 millimeter radiator in here at the front. Alternatively, you can install up to two 140 millimeter fans. They do include one 140 millimeter or up to three 120 millimeter fans. Now this case is mainly comprised of steel, but there's plastic as well as mesh, like for example this entire top panel, which can be easily removed by pressing on the left side, and then you can take it right off. They also have a dust filter. Up here you can fit up to three 120 millimeter fans or up to two 140 millimeter fans, alternatively up to a 360 millimeter radiator. And to put the top panel back, just go ahead and groove it in on the right side and snap it in on the left side. Conveniently located at the top is the power button and reset button, and by the way, these have status LEDs integrated within them, as well as the audio jacks and 4 USB ports, 2 USB 2 ports and 2 USB 3 ports. At the back of the case is where a standard ATX power supply gets installed, and by the way, on the inside of the case they do have rubber rests for the power supply to lodge on, extra ventilation. There are 7 ventilated expansion slots. They do include a 120 millimeter exhaust fan, and as well there are 2 rubber grommeted holes to route water cooling tubes through. Plus they include 4 thumb screws, 2 on each side panel. Now they include this box, and in it are cable ties and screws and rubber washers for installing the hardware, plus a nice case badge and this foot which gets installed at the bottom back of the case. Now as we know, the left side panel has a large window so you can see all the goodness on the inside, but the right side panel is plain. Now the way that each side panel comes off is really different. First, loosen the 2 thumb screws that are at the back of each panel and then kind of pry it from the front like so. By the way, this is not held into place with magnets, but rather there are punch outs, 2 of them, on each panel, and of course those go into the 2 holes that are on each side of the case. And with the left side panel removed, you can see that there is ventilation. There's also ventilation like this on the right side at the front. Now to remove this front panel, you'll need to take off the left and right panels and then pull the front panel from the bottom. Now there's a cable going to the front display, but this can be detached so you can completely remove the front panel. This case fits standard ATX, micro ATX, and mini ATX form factor motherboards, and as you can see, there's ample space inside the case to work and install lots of hardware. On the motherboard tray, there's a large hole for the cooler's retention plate, plenty of punch outs also on the motherboard tray to organize those cables, and there's rubber grommeted holes to route those cables through. And by the way, they've got this shroud here to hide those cables, plus hide the power supply, which is quite nice. And of course, there's space behind the motherboard tray and the right side panel to tuck those cables away. Now you can fit many drives on the inside of this case, both 3.5-inch and 2.5-inch. You can see here as well as here and the other side when I get to the right side of the case. Here you can install a pump if you want to. There's a rubber top on this, and there's provision here, as you can see, for a very large radiator. Again, up to a 360 millimeter radiator can be installed at the front of the case. Plus, you can install a video card that's up to 440 millimeters in length and a power supply that's up to 220 millimeters in length. Now, as for cooler height, you can install a cooler that is approximately up to 165 millimeters in height. So behind the motherboard tray and the right side panel, there's 20 millimeters of space, and as you can see, they've tidied some cables here already, and they do include these Velcro ties. Now you can install two 2.5-inch drives back here on these brackets. Just remove the thumb screw, mount the drive to this, and put it back. Also on the bottom here, you've got provision for 2.5-inch drives and 3.5-inch drives. At the bottom, they have 4 feet. Each one has a rubber insert, although these aren't very tall, and they do have a removable dust filter, and that's for the power supply's intake fan. Now, honestly, this is one of the better cases that's on the market, and it's excellent for a lot of reasons. First of all, look at it. It looks gorgeous with all the rounded corners. Certainly, as I mentioned before, it is not boring. Plus, tons of features, and it's very functional, ample room to work, and certainly lots of space to install all kinds of hardware, except of course for 5.25-inch drives. Overall, without a doubt, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care. Well, that's it, but I hope you enjoyed the review, and if you think this and other videos that I produce are great, please like them, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, your comments are very welcome, and if you have any questions, let me know.